report, sorry.
Right.
Hey, you're here.
You're here, yes. All right, so we've got roll call. We've got everybody here that's signed in. So item B on the agenda, approval of the agenda. We have a motion, and I will second. Any questions or any additions to the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes from the December 19th, 2019 meeting of the Housing Authority. We have a motion, and I will second.
Thank you.
You know what you mean.
Yes. Any additions or corrections to the minutes from the last meeting? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On to regular business. Item D, consideration of possible action to approve the resolution authorizing and providing for the sale and issuance of $5.3 million in student housing revenue refunding bonds, Series 2020, for University Village Housing, Inc. project, and to provide certain details in connection therewith. I call that legally, but
Yes, I did not write that one, clearly. So I handed out to you, actually, the draft that, it's no longer draft, it's the red line and the changes. You'll see that there's an asterisk behind the 5.3 million because that number's actually changed to 5.260. So really, the only changes from the documents that you see that I sent to you were the additions of the financing, the dollar amounts.
Okay.
That were put into this document.
So we need to formally change that in the minutes?
I don't think so, because you've got the star and the connection there. I mean, that was the legal phraseology of why it's in there. So, because these just came to us, like, they wait till the very last minute to get the best deal, right? So when you look at the red line, you'll see that really the changes are putting the amounts in.
Steve, man, that earned him 40 grand this time, right? I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't.
Yeah, as long as the amount that we approve is less than what's on here.
Than the
then we're okay.
5.3.
Right.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll see them, they'll say something like not to exceed 5.3 million or whatever, but that's the same thing.
And
as
so you
long as
can
we
see
don't-
that it's a little less here. And then we do have representatives, if you'd like to hear from them, from the University Village Housing. If you have questions with regards to this, but really this is the, at our last meeting, we approved the initial draft, and this
Yes.
will be the final resolution.
We, questions, no. Nickel tour, is it worth it? We would have to open the floor for that? Is that how that goes?
Mhm.
Is there a motion to open
And I
the
think,
floor?
and at the last meeting, I think they described the project and
Yes.
whatever, but certainly.
All right.
So I'll second the motion to open the floor. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Floor is open. There you go.
Thank you.
Boom. And see, they come to the meeting, so they should get a couple minutes.
Yeah,
at
you
least.
gotta
So it's nice.
You braved the cold to
You
get
braved
here,
the
so we're
cold
gonna
to
make
get
it
here.
work.
Well, we'll be able to keep student affordable housing out there to a greater degree with this refinancing. It's very positive. Thank you.
And just refresh my recollection, the rates went way down, is that correct? Your
Yes.
financing rates went way down?
It's, what was
They were 4% and 5%, depending upon how the bonds were stacked. And with the refinancing, the net interest rate is 1.8.
Wow, yes,
Wow.
yes, okay.
About a $700,000 saving.
On a net present value calculation.
So more buildings with that savings.
Well, we're gonna keep the interest, we're gonna keep, the plan is to keep the rental rates down, and then at some point in time, we're looking at, it probably won't be till 3 or 4 years, building a newer residence hall.
I was gonna say, GB really is in need of student housing out there from what I hear.
That's what I was gonna ask, I mean, what's the demand for on-campus housing?
Well, it depends who you talk to.
In the fall, coming in at 99 to 100% full. There's some older buildings, and some are university-owned and some are of high-owned that probably could use some updating, and I don't know how familiar you are with that complex out there, but the ones the university owned were built in '69 by David Carley. And those are probably at some point in time need to be replaced. But In fall, it's 99 to 100% occupied, so that's good.
Yeah. Okay. Any further questions? Otherwise, motion to close the floor?
Make a motion?
All right, I'll second.
Thank you.
All in favor of closing the floor, signify by saying aye. Motion carried. Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, so we have before us then consideration of the resolution. I will make a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion or questions? Otherwise, hearing none, all in favor? Oh, we have to do this on,
Yeah.
Yep.
okay. This one we have to do electronic.
Rich, pass it on the screen. Okay, motion approved.
Very good.
Passed unanimously.
Passed unanimous.
All three voted in
Yes.
favor? Okay, I just need that.
Oh.
yes.
I thought you needed me to say that. I'm like, sorry.
That's okay.
The short way.
All right, moving on to item number 200, regular business, consideration with possible action to approve the June 30, 2019 audit report.
That was sent to you, but I also gave you a hard copy.
Mhm.
If you don't want it, you can always leave it here when you're done. I know it's fun and exciting reading. But they said it was a good audit. They didn't have any issues when they talked with me. They talked with Cheryl. So everything went well. Jamie's files went well, so we're
Okay.
progressing.
Way to go. Yes.
Thanks.
Nicely
Yeah.
done.
Very complimentary. Did it sound like I was
Mm-hmm.
trying to work?
Hey, way to go, ladies, that's fantastic.
We can do the hard stuff.
So in these, and I read through them and kind of glossed over them, but a lot of times they will put in here some recommendations for changes into the future. Anything in here that, I didn't see anything, but I'm just
They-
asking in case they may have said
They
something.
didn't have anything, recommendations, so the recommendations they made in the past still stand, like, Jamie has a lot of interim and annual reviews that she's doing all on her own, but I think that they had talked with you on that, on how you felt it was, so, they always want backups for everything too.
Yes. yes.
So those are still the standard things that they
Yes.
recommend.
And from my experience with smaller municipalities, they always have a caveat that, because you're small, you don't have the checks and balances.
Segregation of duties.
Yes, so that tends to pop up. And in an entity like this, you don't have 26 people that you're all looking over and
Right.
having checks and
Yep,
balances.
but we do segregate our stuff using front office staff and some other staff with the city. We have segregated fairly well, so,
But, all right, so you need a motion to approve.
yes.
I will make that motion.
A second?
A motion and a second, and then we'll vote.
Motion carried.
Good. Moving on to item number 3, consideration with possible action on writing off delinquent tenant accounts.
Yes, this is something that we do usually about every 6 months. And when we write them out, what we are doing is we're writing them out of our software system, but I will continue to track and look for collections on them. So this is by no means, we're just telling people they don't have to pay. That is not the case.
It's more of an accounting move than it is,
Yes.
because there's something funded.
And that has to do with, right?
Yes, and if you notice, there's really 3 columns. The first one is DR, which is dwelling rents. So, and then the other is like any move-out fees or anything like that. And that's where you're getting a lot of the cost of what is due back to us,
Mhm.
is upon move-out, we're finding that there's some issues.
So on this one that's got the 6,200,
Yeah.
they must have damaged the unit?
Significant.
Okay.
So that's why.
Get 'em up and a half.
Oh.
Wow. Oh, yeah, okay, gotcha.
So that's why the scattered sites number is so big.
Mhm.
And then, like Mason Manor is just $30. So,
And then
I
we
was
can
surprised
go,
over that, actually. Mason Manor, so.
so we can, and then this is the one where you work with capturing
Yep.
taxes and those types of things.
we use
as
the
well.
state agencies
State
to
agencies.
try to recapture this money.
I have a dumb question.
Okay.
$6,200 in a month and a half. Is there something that we missed in the interview and application process?
You know who it is, right, Todd? We have Langen and Associates do our background checks. We've done previous landlord reference check. They gave this individual a 3-year
Perfect.
fabulous tenant record. They were referred from one of our homeless shelters in town. We did our due diligence on this one. Unfortunately, this tenant just got,
Well,
Got involved, I think, in maybe some addiction issues
Yes.
or
Okay, right on.
escalated.
Bugger.
yeah.
Yes. And actually, when, in the grand scheme of things, this is my experience in housing. That's not a lot compared to what a tenant could do to you.
Sure.
It's a lot, but it could have been worse, so.
Right, is there a motion to approve the write-off?
And that includes legal fees as well, which are probably $400.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Right.
I'll second.
A motion and a second, we go to a vote.
Motion approved.
That was a process question.
Yeah.
Before we move on. What are we approving on the audit report?
We are approving,
Accepting it?
yes,
Okay.
approving the acceptance of the report. And that's why I asked that question about any recommendations, because sometimes you would go on to say, if they had some significant recommendations or changes, we would then.
Include that in your approval, and
Well,
staff to move forward with those changes.
Yes, or we would ask for further information on why there were those recommendations and those kind of things. But it's almost like accept and place on file.
Right.
But HUD requires approval of this by the committee so that it can be submitted to them. So it has to be an approval.
For sure.
Right.
Okay, thanks, sorry.
No problem. All right, moving on to the informational items, the GBHA bills.
Okay, those were sent out in your packages, nothing special, but nothing fun.
What would you classify as fun?
No bed bug costs? Still have a couple of those.
Minimal.
They're
It's
minimal.
minimal, it's $140.
That's good. Let's keep that that way.
All right,
No action needed.
no action needed. All right. Then moving on to the GBHA financial report.
Okay, that was also in your thing.
Anything significant there?
Nothing, nothing real significant. Here, we did, if you notice Mason Manor, it was a larger deficit before last. We did receive a payment to help bring that up. I believe it was one of our self-help payments, so helps.
All right. Any further questions? It's informational, we move on. Back. Langen report.
Which is also in your packet. It shows the number of applications that we have sent to Langen for background checks for our applicants.
Anything significant pending with any of that?
Just regular business.
All right. Item number 4, director's report.
So we had a very successful Christmas party at Mason Manor in December, which I think turned out really well.
You got to use the new kitchen.
We got to use the new kitchen, which was very nice. We have submitted the request for the RFP for our Section 8 vouchers, our Section 18 repositioning project-based vouchers through the county, so we've made that application. And we've also received a letter of support from the mayor, which is a requirement for that package. We've recorded the trust documents, and then we're working on the narrative, so we can submit that Section 18 conversion application, and probably want to get that in soon, probably before the next meeting, if possible. get it into the HUD reps who then vet it before it actually goes for the official submittal. So it's a process. We're continuing to work with Dimension on clarifying our capital improvements report. I know we've provided them some more information. I think Dave's been working with BSA, I think a little bit on some of that.
Yes. just-
Providing information
yeah.
that they provided to us to get to them. So we're working on that. And then we just had Jamie and Stephanie and I just had a nice meeting actually with Keith Pamprin, who's just here, to get some advice on Mason Manor, moving forward with Mason Manor, whatever we're gonna do to make these capital improvements, RAD, mixed financing, whatever. He suggested that we reach out to Milwaukee, because they've actually done these conversions, and they now have formed a corporation that, their corporation handles their own conversion. One of the things Keith advised us of is, don't turn anything over. You know,
Yes.
make sure you maintain the ownership and you protect the housing authority, so it's not like in a developer's hands, and then some developer can, you know, do bad things for 15 years, and then here you have it back.
Yes,
and,
yes,
you know.
I had that conversation.
Right.
Keith and I belong to the same church, so
Oh, okay.
we've had chats in the
Yep.
lobby
Right.
after church about this, and that was his big concern.
Yep, that was his big concern.
Keep control over it.
So even though they recommended from that group to do that?
Yeah, well, that group, and I, you know, I think it was Baker Tilly that came.
Yes.
That was Baker Tilly.
They're developers, so their goal, and rightly so, is to develop property. They don't necessarily have the housing authority's best interest like we would, so, but Milwaukee, the city of
Yeah.
Milwaukee itself. Go ahead.
They have created their own corporation. They've created a company that does this, that comes in and will do the renovations, will do that. And they do it all themselves. They don't have to find another entity because they have created an entity
Mhm.
that they can take it from being the housing authority, take it out, renovate it, and keep it to the housing authority.
Hmm.
So we're gonna reach out to them to see if they are willing to maybe partner with us or at least help us with what they've done.
Yeah.
And Keith has agreed to work with us on that.
Oh.
So we're gonna invite them here to look at Mason Manor, and then, of course, Keith told us that the first year he started was when construction started at Mason Manor.
Wow.
Yeah, yes.
So he didn't have anything to do with the design, but he was the person who worked through the construction of it. So we found out some stuff actually today that I don't think I knew before, about some of the elevators and the wiring and some of that
The
stuff.
big pits under the elevators.
8 story.
Yes,
Eight
yeah,
stories.
so those
8-story
elevators are,
pits.
they're 8
Yeah.
stories in the
Piston
ground.
on?
Piston on,
Oh,
so-
sure, yeah, so
Yeah.
it's got, to hold
So it's
it.
like, if you ever have to
Hold
replace
hydraulic,
that, you know,
yeah.
you're not
Yes.
gonna wanna have that same system.
Nobody
so-
makes them anymore. anyway.
Exactly.
Can you explain that?
So, yeah, if you
8-story
fall, you're
pits?
gonna go down.
So
It's an
when-
open area?
Well,
So where where it opens on the first floor, it goes down another 8 stories.
The piston that
Yeah.
generates the power to lift that.
yeah, so you would replace it with a traction elevator.
Correct,
Yes.
yeah, correct. That's right, one of the costs that we.
But yeah, and we talked about this years and years ago.
5 years ago when I just came on.
Well, even before that, we talked about this pit thing, and part of the problem with replacing the elevators, when you do the pit, you fill it in, and you
Go through the DNR, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's all full of hydraulic fluid.
Yeah, and there's permitting for
Yeah.
cleaning that crap up.
So if the
Oh my gosh, the
elevator ever
environmental
malfunctioned, would it ever go down?
No, because it's not, the pit isn't as large as the cab, right? It's the pit, it's the piston.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yes.
so they make the hole, like the shaft's the size of the elevator, the hole
Okay.
down for
So I had this
however
horror.
long.
Right.
It's-
16 floors.
Seen a movie about that.
This big.
Yeah, it's this big, so, yeah, you have to worry
And
about
it's
that.
full of a big steel spring cased thing, so I mean, it's not like you could climb in there or anything, right? Yeah.
We're okay. So, yeah, so I guess we're continuing to move forward on that route. I mean, one of our goals is just really to determine what we're gonna do with it. How we're gonna take that road, so.
We hired a firm for a facility assessment. We have
We did.
since terminated that contract, is that correct?
We contacted them because we just thought, why are you so off on these numbers? And then that's where we're providing that
Yes, they're
information.
the first one, and that's why we're working with Dimension.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, the first one.
Yeah.
Dimensions the second.
Okay.
Yeah, that was he didn't provide us anything.
That's right.
nothing came. The second company actually provided us with some information, but we didn't think it was accurate. So we're just working with them, and they were very, when we talked to them, they were very amenable, like provide us with some information, these are kind of some standards we're looking at, but if you have further information, give that to us. So David's working with them on that. So hopefully, hopefully we can have that for the next meeting. You guys can go.
Anything on the horizon that you've heard about, and you don't have to go into specifics, but about any more affordable housing projects coming forward?
So the redevelopment authority just funded a housing study that's going to look at the general housing needs, affordable market in Green Bay, and then they're also going to look at the surrounding communities. So as a result of that housing study, we're going to know what the specific needs are.
Okay.
1, 2, 3 bedrooms, affordable price ranges, that type of thing. And then the Community Foundation has also hired a consultant to specifically look at homelessness initiatives. You know, there are different models on solving the homelessness crisis, whether it's housing first or housing, first through churches or whatever. They're hiring a firm to take a look at this area and what that best model might be.
Okay.
Those should come in at around the same time, so we'll have some idea. We look at building affordable housing, that's kind of what we do, this department and the housing authority can do that. But then you can couple it with those homelessness needs. It's all a cycle. We receive a lot of homeless folks that come through Mason Manor. One of the biggest needs is really social work and assistance with mental health issues. We met with the team, the mayor's office met with Lexi from St. John's Homeless Shelter. And I think we're looking at roughly depending on the weather, between 90 to 125 homeless folks a night. And she said, I think at least of them are self-declared issues with mental health or ALPD. And it probably means the number's probably more.
Right.
But that's a lot of people that are just, their homelessness is caused by something that's hard for them to control, other than just not having housing available.
Right.
So I'm hoping that the study will at least help with us and with the county maybe to provide some more services that might be needed to fix that problem. So I think a lot of stuff's going to be happening this year.
Good. When those reports come out, let's make sure we get copies of those.
Absolutely. Yep.
See if there's anything we can do from our end.
Shameless self-promotion. I just drew a homeless shelter. It's beautiful. It's almost done. It opens up in a week and a half. We replaced Freedom House in its entirety.
Oh,
Oh.
right.
Yes, I heard about that.
Right.
Wow, cool.
Now that's family-based housing, correct?
Yeah, so I didn't know that they all have their niche. And I think it's fascinating.
Mhm.
I had no clue.
Well, right, Terry's, the NEW shelter
Right.
has specific requirements
Right.
on who can come. St. John's is an open door.
Yes.
And then there's
Yeah, well,
family shelters.
House of Hope, the Golden House,
Mhm.
kind of
Right.
fascinating.
That's kind of why there's a lot of people at the table when you're talking about
Right.
those issues, and they all
Right.
have their interest with serving their population and how that works. But there needs to be, I think the Community Foundation has taken a role of that oversight model, to say, look, we all need to work together on this, because, we gotta get out of the silos.
Right.
Because we want to end homelessness. So.
Yeah, so
Somebody
hired
hired
a
end it, but at
housing.
least you get it under control. Well, you'll never get it under control, but at least you've got a mechanism to help.
Yes, right, where you're not spilling an overflow. and-
Something to quantify it, so you're not,
Right.
like
Right.
fighting over hearsay. It's interesting to me that it is isolated from an overall housing study. Why is that necessarily different than available housing for other social aspects, right? So, you said there's a report looking for.
Yep, the housing study, and I think there'll be a small component on homelessness, but I think the goal of that study is really to determine if you're gonna build what you should be building, what
Okay.
the needs are.
Yeah.
Whether that's transitional, one-bedroom affordable,
Mhm.
the rates, up to like the high-end market, because you understand housing's a cycle. So if you don't have enough housing markets on the high end,
You
these
buy,
folks
don't.
here aren't
Stop.
buying up when they could. They're staying here,
Right.
which stops this from happening all the way
Sure.
around. So that's more of a housing development construction. The homelessness is specific to what do we have here and what are the models we can use to help end homelessness.
Sure.
So there's a lot of different models on
Mhm.
how you can do that. Milwaukee was the housing choice, or housing first.
Housing first.
Housing first
They
model.
have a really cool Facebook page if anybody's interested.
So that's one model, but then there's another model, I think, out in Portland that the foundation executive director, I think, might have had some experience with that model, which is a little different. So it's almost like you have to study the area to find out which one's gonna work.
Sure.
Depending on a lot of things, probably.
Yeah.
Economy, weather.
Fascinating.
Mhm. All right, very good. Moving on to item number 5, occupancy report for December.
I want to bring it up here.
Just side button. If I died.
Okay, thanks.
All right, the occupancy report is in your packet as well. Our waiting list time is increasing significantly, but we have had quite a few, which is really weird for January. We did have quite a few move-outs. So we had one move-in so far, as when this was printed, for January, and then at the time, we had 4 move-outs.
Okay.
But I think we're already at 6 move-outs for January.
And why? If you don't mind.
Evictions.
Well, evictions are different than move-out. Like, I think of a move-out like somebody voluntarily moving out.
Oh,
Are
this
these
is just
all
in general.
evictions?
In general.
2 deceased.
2,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
2 deceased, 1 moved to a different housing authority.
Yes.
Okay.
Couple evictions.
Okay. Yeah, let's see those numbers.
Yes, they're excellent.
Right.
100%. All right, very good. Any further questions on that?
How, is that like the highest it's been for a long time? Like
We've
the
been
year?
doing,
For occupancy rates? Yes.
Yes.
I mean, for a while there, it was pretty low on the
Yeah.
turnovers, but that's been a while now. We've been up there.
maintaining.
Yeah.
Even if we're getting between 4 and 6 each month, we're maintaining 30 days.
Mhm.
Unless there's an extenuating circumstance like H.J. Martin is 3 weeks behind on carpeting, or flooring or something like that. But that's,
Is that why they had them come at night to do it?
we need our units carpeted.
I know, I was like, whoa, you're doing this at night?
We do have our full building quarterly inspection next week for bed bugs. Just remember that. And then AARP is coming in and doing our tenants' taxes
Next month.
in February.
Very good.
Oh, and one more thing I was going to mention is one of the things we're going to be looking at is trying to get and figure out how we can get some weekend coverage at Mason Manor.
That would be good.
In some capacity, I think it would be good to have some staff person at Mason Manor. Because I think things change on the weekends. and the
Very much
staff's
so.
not there.
People get afraid at night and the weekend. They don't even want to come out of their apartments because weird stuff goes on. If there was just somebody that, I mean,
Is on site.
once the word spreads that there's somebody, even
Mhm.
if it isn't all the time, but if they,
Right.
you know, it's just somebody that's coming through or anything, then those things tone way
You know,
down.
and that, I'm glad you brought that up, because that brings up, and it just struck me when you talked about it, because I never thought about that. I mean, is there at some point where we ought to look at maybe having some security type thing there? I know a lot of the churches in the area, because I'm on the board, I'm a trustee at St. Agnes Parish,
mhm.
and we have a coalition of churches in that area that are going to have security. I mean, they have armed, a couple of the churches in the area have armed guards at the church at their churches' services on Saturdays and Sundays, because of all the stuff that's been going on
Right,
over
right.
there. So, I'm not suggesting that for
Mhm.
this, but is there something that we could do to maybe have, particularly on the weekends, but even during the week, to have some security available? I don't know what it would be, I haven't thought this through, but just the concept of having someone there, because there's just so much,
You're talking about a human and not a passive system.
yes.
Because we have security cameras.
Right.
Those are up and operating. The other thing that's a plus, remember Langen
Yes.
operates out of it, which are all retired police officers. And I
And
think
I
they
would say,
walk.
correct me if I'm wrong, Mary, but I feel like that helped a lot.
That did, yeah.
Because they're there nights and weekends and random
Oh,
hours.
okay,
Mhm.
okay.
But there's a lot, there's lockouts on weekends, and I think people just think it's like weekends, like, oh, it's let's smoke whenever we want and break the rules.
Yes,
and-
that's
Right?
one of the things.
So we're like,
Smoking is really bad.
is there somebody, can we do something with somebody who's on site? Like a tenant, a resident, is it just someone that comes in on the weekends, or I don't know,
Well,
we'll
It
figure
might
that
be,
out,
yeah, it
but.
might be something that even you go to the extent of checking with HUD to see what they might
Right, right,
recommend.
right.
And I don't know, I mean, it just, maybe it's something to put in the back burner to think about a little bit.
Sit on the next eviction until a Saturday and then do it real public.
And just, I mean, in general, if this person does come on as a not a full-time staffer, but a city staffer or whatever, then, I don't know if you've been watching, but a lot of the snow has happened on weekends this year, so then like our time and a half for our full-time guys
Yeah.
could be decreased if this individual could plow or take care of some
Yeah.
snow.
Sidewalks and stuff.
Yeah, because we, I mean.
That
Because
was-
again, this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Friday night.
Yeah.
is-
Yeah.
Supposed to get like over
Both
6
morning.
inches.
Yep.
Yeah, they just keep.
Does that mean more?
Use out of it.
Channel,
Right.
yeah, right? Channel 5 keeps saying that, right, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and then the
So,
one
and
time
that just-
when we stop disbelieving it,
then
then
it comes.
it's
Yeah.
24
So that's just
inches.
something to think about, and again, when you brought it up, and then it occurred to me, because they said the churches in that far west side, or middle west side, or whatever you call it, have all been going to having some kind of security because of all.
While the church is open?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because there's just, I mean.
Well, there's just stuff going on, that's
Yes.
not good
Yeah.
in the world. Luckily, we're a locked building, we're security locked, which gives me a
Yeah,
little.
but.
To an extent.
Yeah, to an extent, but it's not just an open door walk-in.
To an extent.
Right, but I mean, you could even have somebody that's a guest
Yes.
that gets out of hand.
Internally, we have what we call as a green folder. So if like I don't feel safe or Cobb doesn't feel safe, we'll call up Dave and be, or our maintenance or Lang, and they're all on it and be like, hey, you know that green folder from that case? Can you come in? Can you bring that? And that's just their internal message.
Oh,
Like,
sure.
and we've used that at least 2 or 3 times.
So, something.
Yeah.
keep-
Like just like where we've had an
Okay.
upset. What?
We're recording.
Oh, gotcha.
We don't want to give any secrets while we're being
Yeah.
recorded.
Yeah, okay. So, something to think about.
Mhm.
All right.
Yep, so we're looking into that, just because I think it's,
Good.
I don't know.
It's just the way the world is these days, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything further for the occupancy report? Any other questions?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, item number 6, date for next meeting, February 20th, 2020. All right.
Seems like a long ways away, doesn't it?
Yeah, not at all.
That's the week of
As I was
ARP.
It is the
walking,
week of
as
AR,
I was
like
walking
70.
over here, I figured I have less than 90 days before I can get my boat out of storage.
Oh, there.
You gotta find the little things.
Oh, man.
I gotta find something to
Bill's
keep me
counting
warm.
down.
Yes, I'm counting. All right, motion to adjourn.
I make a motion.
We have a motion, I'll second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
So we
Tell me the up high.